Friday night is ambulance night. Let's see how we got this working. So here we go, part whatever it is, 5 of the Morris Ambulance project, and we kick off with getting the old Winkworth bell working. Now, of course, you can't have an ambulance without a bell, so I sought long and hard to find this. I actually ended up with 3 to get all the bits to make it. Now, currently, it doesn't work, but there's no rocket science to these things. The beauty of classic cars and classic car electrics is it's all electric mechanical, not electronic. So in this case, we've got a solenoid, which is a coil of copper wire. We put power through it, so it turns into a magnet and pulls this contact down, which pulls the clanger out. And then when it does that, it loses connection and the spring pulls it back. And the cycle of this makes it clang, except that's not happening. So what I'm doing here is firstly cleaning the points. That's the first of any of these things. Same as how classic car horns work and charging regulators and all sorts of things, traffic acers. Clean the points. That got it working but not clanging. It wasn't going far enough. So what I'm doing here is running it on a car battery charger and altering the gap in the points and also adjusting the clanger arm so that it strikes the bell, but then when it rests, it doesn't rest on the bell, so that it leaves it with a ring rather than a dull tone. So a bit of adjustment and fiddling around with this, and we got there in the end. Important to be sort of really careful and gentle with this old stuff because there's lots that fall apart. So here we are. This is how you adjust the gap on the points, and of course, like anything that's electrical, cleanliness is imperative. So there you go. As you can see, that's the trembler going on there. So that coil at the bottom, the copper thing, is pulling it down, and then it releases and pulls it down, and then releases, pulls it down. So that's how it works. So this is the bell. I've got 2 bells. You saw the other one in the clip. The other one I supposedly sold. One's big and one's small. It turns out the ambulances had the big bells, so that's what we did. Right, then I set about doing a little bit more with the steering. So currently the steering on the capster, which is what this axle's off, works by pulling front to back. That's not going to work on this. So what I've done is I've gone and got a track rod bracket, and I'm using that, and I'm going to set up a side-to-side movement. So here I'm using some BDX, Bulldog BDX spray, not sponsored by them at all, but went to see them when we were in Northern Ireland. Great bunch of people, and they kindly gave me some of their cans of stuff, and it really is rather good. Yeah, if you're a fan of WD-40, this stuff is actually a lot better. They said it was, and I thought, yes, I'm sure you think it is. It genuinely is. So you weren't wrong, BDX. It is good stuff. So give them a bit of love, give them a bit of support. So here we are. So now we're on the passenger side of the ambulance. So originally it was the steering arm went to the right hand side, pulling forwards and backwards. We're going for the left to right system like the Land Rover has, and to do that you need to steer from the near side wheel. So what we're going to do is put the track rod bracket as a steering bracket on the near side. So first things first, we've got to take the caliper bolt out because that's where this bracket hangs. So, and there we go, got it there. I'm going to have to machine up some spacers to go in here because this is the tie rod bracket that goes at the bottom, and this bit, it looks as fat but it's not as fat at the bottom. It can't be because it clears. But we have a lathe, we can make something, and this bolt, this shorter bolt, we need to use over there to hold the caliper. Now it hasn't got that bit on. The workings out. Without further ado, is over to the bandsaw to lob off a bit of bar and then start setting up the lathe so that we can machine it. Right, I've had quite a lot of questions about this lathe. It's a Colchester student lathe. I bought it from a university. It came out of a silver metal workshop, so it's not ever done a lot of hard work. It's quite a compact lathe for an industrial machine. But it has all the industrial capabilities for table turning and whatnot. Power crossfeed, power facing, all sorts of things. Really useful. couple of changes to it, like the quick change tool post, which just make it look easier to use. But yeah, if you want a lathe, I'd highly recommend Colchester as a make. And this is a Mark II or Mark 1.5 round top. But yeah, all the Colchester lathes seem to be pretty good, the ones I've used. So here we are, we're now facing off the two bits that we've cut, centre drill them and then drill them out to size. So there they are now, they're two 10mm spacers, and then this will just pack out this bracket ever so slightly, just so that it clears the kingpin, I suppose. Now what we're going to need is some longer bolts, which I'm not going to make. In theory I could, I'm just not going to. Now I've said it before and I'll say it again, these Nissan bolts for their age are in incredibly good condition. It really is impressive. They come out and they do look genuinely like they're 1 or 2 years old, and they're over 20 years old. So yeah, I'll certainly be looking for more Japanese stuff. That gives a bit of clearance in there. There we go, received the parcel. This is from Cabster UK. It's great for all Nissan Cabster bits. I learned after I bought it, Nissan Cabsters are weirdly hard to get parts for, which kind of defeats the purpose of modernising a classic. Well, I've modernised the technology of my van by changing it from Morris to Nissan, but if it's hard to get parts for, I haven't really solved that issue that you have with classic vehicles. But Japanese stuff is generally quite reliable, so hopefully that won't be a problem. Anyway, now Adam and Ben aren't here, they're busy doing their own lives, but Ben has left me instructions on how the theory of this all works. I'm going to have another go and see if this time I can get it right. So he said that this arm has got to be as level and parallel as possible. But what I'm concerned about now is to get this parallel, it's going to have to go where the sump is. Also, we've got to keep it level, we've got to be careful we've still got the travel and the spring. So there's a bit of a science to this. So I'm going for the trial and error method with a bit of judgment. So the idea is that will pull and push side to side, and that will give us the steering if we mount the steering box sideways. Well, I can already see some issues with alignment and things. So yeah, a bit of a play and we'll work it out. Now, as they say on the BBC, that really is all we've got time for. Please join us next week, and yeah, hope you're enjoying it.